I'm going to tell you about the character journeys in Tron and Tron Legacy. Tron, which came out in 1982, it starts out as kind of a heist movie, but we find out that it's ultimately about overthrowing a dictator who is persecuting people for their religious beliefs. Flynn is a whiz kid computer programmer who had some files stolen from him by the current company CEO, whose name is Dillinger. Dillinger, once he stole the files, quickly rose to the top and became the CEO, while Flynn got into a situation where he was out of the company and now he just runs an arcade. So he's been wronged and he wants to right that wrong. And so he works with his friends to break into this company called Encom to go and find those files. He gets zapped into cyberspace at the time in 1982. It's called the Grid. And he finds out that he's in a situation where he's put in jail, and there is an all seeing computer program called the Master Control Program that is acting like a dictator in cyberspace. The MCP uh, basically is rounding up all people or all computer programs that believe in users, which is the religion of these people in cyberspace. And those who are true believers actually get rounded up, put in jail, and then they have to go and do gladiator games uh, to the death, basically. And those believers who don't, compete in the gladiator games, who aren't fit, actually end up going and being integrated into the master control program. We find that out later on in the film. And so there's this kind of tension around religious persecution that is taking place throughout the film. Flynn meets a character named Tron, which is a security program created by his friend. And the two of them gang up and they move through a whole bunch of stuff to get to this place where Tron gets basically a bug fix or a patch from his user, Alan. And he has to kind of throw that patch, it's on a disk, and he has to throw it into the master control program to be able to destroy the master control program. But Flynn, who is the user that's kind of zapped in, he realizes that he has special powers and he goes through and confronts the master control program. He actually integrates with him and makes it possible for Tron to throw that disk in and destroy the master control program. When that master control program, that dictator, gets destroyed, then we see that all these suppressive colors are now turned into to bright colors, and the color returns back to this cyberspace universe. Flynn gets zapped back out into the real world. He gets the evidence that he needs to overthrow Dillinger, and at the very end, we find out that Flynn has become the CEO of the company. So the character arc in this is actually kind of shallow. In 1982, this was actually the first film that had computer graphics deployed in such a unique way. And and so there were a lot of focus on that spectacle. But Flynn's arc is kind of like, let's go find a file, and there's this environment that is suppressive, and let's overcome that dictator. Uh, for me, as I watched it, I didn't see a particular 5-second moment of change in Flynn's character where he was something else. In the beginning of the movie, he's someone who is kind of been wronged and he moves through to go and correct that wrong. But I don't know how much he changes as a character throughout this film, other than the fact that he gets what he wants and he becomes the CEO. And this Dillinger character falls from grace. Tron Legacy came out in 2010, and Flynn has a son. His name is Sam, and early on in the film, we find out that Flynn has been working, in this cyberspace. He's been working in the grid for all of his life, and it's actually his life's work. But he goes missing, and his son grows up without a father. He's still the primary stock owner of this company, but Sam wants nothing to do with with the company at the beginning of the film. Sam gets called to his dad's old computer, and he actually gets zapped into cyberspace. He gets zapped into the grid, and it's a modern take on the grid. Obviously, the computer graphics have changed so much. Sam moves around, but he also gets caught just like his dad. He finds out that there are these people running the cyberspace, the grid, and one of them looks like his dad. That guy's name is Clue. And Clue is actually a computer program made by his dad, Flynn, so that he can run and build this utopia with Tron to create the perfect environment. We find out that Flynn has this kind of God complex, not just a complex in cyberspace, like anybody who's a computer program, you're basically writing all the code. Um, but he also has like a God complex when he gets back into the real world, because we find out when we meet Flynn in the film, we find out that Flynn is looking for utopia. He's looking for perfection. He tried to create it in cyberspace. There were these other beings created called ISOs, and there's a lady who's a character in this film called Quorra, who is one of those beings. And he finds out that this lady could actually go and save humanity if he could just get her out of cyberspace and then put her into the real world. And so Flynn, this character, is looking for perfection for in cyberspace and in the real world. But Sam, when they confront, Sam is like, where have you been? And Flynn basically tells him that he got stuck in here in cyberspace and the portal was closed and he couldn't get back out. There's a moment when we talk about character change, we have actually an arc with Flynn and we have an arc with Sam. And so they meet in the middle of the film, and Flynn realizes that his son, that he missed out on his son's life. And yes, he dedicated his life to this cyberspace environment and creating utopia that's kind of falling apart right now. And he realizes that the perfection that he created in his life is actually his son Sam, and he feels guilty about not being there for Sam's youth. He hopes to rectify that, and then he moves throughout the film to do that. There's a moment toward the end of the film where Flynn realizes that he can't actually leave cyberspace with his son Sam, and he then self-sacrifices to enable his dream and enable his son to carry on his dream moving forward of creating a utopia. So that's Flynn's character arc. Sam is actually kind of a child who wanted his dad, and he's really frustrated that his dad just disappeared. And when he gets zapped into the grid, he doesn't believe that his dad's alive. But as he moves through, he realizes that, yeah, his dad is actually well-intentioned and he wanted to do his best. He wanted to create this utopia. He made some mistakes, and his dad feels guilty. And Sam moves through all these different challenges, but he gets to this place where he reconciles with his dad. He understands who he is, and then he ultimately lets go of those archetypes or those memories that he had of his dad, so he can move forward with a life that is productive with this ISO named Quorra, and taking over the Encom company. It's there's so many different things going on here. The 5-second moment of change for Sam is actually at the very last moment when he's in the grid and he's getting ready to beam up into the real world. He looks at his dad and he realizes that his dad's not coming and that he needs to let go of what all the tension that he held. And then as soon as he gets out of the grid, he talks to this guy named Alan, and he says, "You know what, Alan, you were completely right. I was wrong, and now I'm going to carry on with my father's dream." And so we believe that Sam is going to make something of himself and create good in the universe, which is the opposite of who he was at the beginning of the film. So this is a recap. I hope you enjoyed both these films. I'm excited about the new Aries release that comes out this Friday. I will have a video on that, and you'll see the link at the end of this video once it is available. Thanks.